Okay. Hello, everyone. Alright, so we're back with another evaluation for this of my FMP project for this week. Starting off, I just want to finish off what I was talking about last week. Because as this week I think I made a lot of progress on my written work, because I mentioned last week how I was gonna make a big push to kind of finish all the written work first, because next week is gonna be a 2 week holiday, or the start of a 2 week holiday, and I'm planning to just work on my models in those weeks. So I wanted all the written work to be taken care of. So I think I've done a good job of that. I think I've kind of finished all of the written work that I needed to do, or that I had left to do. But I just uh, um but I don't know yet if it's to the standard that Rob would be happy with, is because she's doing the evaluations this week, or at the end of this week on Friday. He's gonna be looking through all of our sites and talking about what we've done well in, what we could do better in, talking about stuff we could improve. So I don't know yet if what I've done in these other sections, or the other sections I had to do, is enough. If he'll be happy with it, or if I'll have to do a little bit more. But for now, at this moment, for now, I think I've kind of completed all of the written work or the research work that I had to do, or I had left to do. I will get to the rest of it, the rest of that work. But first, I just want to finish off what I was talking about last week. With the symbiotics, or the symbiotics of the very basic symbiotics of my office. And I mentioned last week of how I think my sorry, I think the design of my office would have changed a lot, and I think it probably would have been a much better design, or much more player friendly design, if I had looked into symbiotics before designing it. That's something I've learned, into that looking into symbiotics can really help when making a model, or in particularly making like an environment model, an environment in which ideally the player would have to kind of walk around and navigate their way around. But so I think last week I left out. I was talking about these red sections, and just in case I didn't. The red section is I was talking about, was the main point, my main point of interest, the main subject that the viewer would be looking at, or the player would be looking at. So this area is supposed to draw the player's attention, and obviously because this is going to be the captain's office, this is where the captain's desk is, and all of his equipment, and all his stuff, all the stuff that he needs. And I also wanted to make it clear that this is a more, shall we say, more serious part of the room. The more what's the word? Had this part of the room had more authority to it. That's why I kind of put the logos behind it, or the logos on the wall, and the logo on the table, or in front of the table, so that you kind of get an idea of get the idea across about who's in charge in this room, or when you walk into this room. And then that's why I've got the blue screen in the computer screen, where the captain would talk or show things, or discuss plans and strategy with his crew members of his crew. And I think I did a good job. I wanted to make sure that the main space, the main area that the player would be looking into, or the viewer would be looking into, because that's another point about my model, is that it is nice and it is beneficial to kind of look into symbiotics and to understand how to design an area for the player, for an entertaining space, how to make a space for the player entertaining. In this case, in this example, I don't have to worry about that, because I'm not planning on putting a place. Nope, this isn't going to be a game. This isn't going to be a fully fledged game, and so this is just supposed to be an environmental piece. So I don't really need to worry about that so much. But as I was saying, I wanted to make sure that this was the main area, that everyone kind of understood, that they got the vibe from this area, that this is a place of business, a place where the captain would come to do work, do important work. And I also wanted to make it clear that this is supposed to be a spaceship. That's why I put that obvious reason. That's why I put the window there, because I thought that's the most obvious way to get the viewer's attention, and to say that and to show that yes, this is in space. Because again, of course, without the window, you could very easily just say this is any place on Earth. But that's why I made the window. Also, all the major all the major focus points, I guess, are all in this section of the model. And I wanted them all the major signs to be in this area, to kind of to get the player's attention, or the viewer's attention. And then moving on, this was the part that I didn't finish last week. And now, of course, it is finished. Then the blue area, or the blue lines, is just to show that this is meant to be the secondary area in the model, as in it's not, as you can see, it's not got as many objects in this area. There's not as much things to distract you or take your eye, or to engage you, I guess that would be a word to use. But also I wanted to show that this is a more relaxed area of the office, and this is not as tense as the first area. As in, this is a place where anyway, as I was saying, I wanted to show that this area is a lot more relaxed than the first area, or the captain's area, the captain's desk. Because oh, sorry. Sorry. So this would be like a place where the captain would be able to talk to members of his crew, and so it's not necessarily a tense area, or a serious area. And plus, I wanted to have that difference between the front of the room and the back of the room, because the worst thing you could do is try and add as much items as possible into both areas, because then at that point, both areas are fighting for the attention of the viewer, or the attention of the player. I feel like doing that would just kind of overload the viewer, overload the player, as in they wouldn't fully take in everything that the room has to offer. So because I was when I was making or when I was designing this room, I was kind of questioning whether if this would be enough, if I should add more things. But looking at it now, and especially like looking now that I've done more modeling, now that I've been working on the front of the room, the 3D model, for a long time. Because there's so much in that first section, and I'm really glad I didn't overload the second set or the back of the room either, because that would have just taken just as long. See, because again, that's another good point, is that since there's less things here, there's less items here. It's gonna be a lot quicker to make this. Well, ideally anyway, it's gonna be a lot quicker to make this area than the first area. But I wanted to try and get across the. Even though this is a bit more of a relaxed area, I still wanted to get across the idea that this is like this is still a ship. There's still a navy ship. Yep, and that's why I kind of went with the hatch lock door design, as well as the like the fire extinguisher, as well as the phone, the yellow thing here is supposed to be a phone. And so ideally this is the idea that he'd be able to talk. The captain would be able to talk to other people on other parts of the ship. Sorry. But as well as that, I wanted again. I added the windows. I was really pleased with what I did with the design of the windows. It was as I feel like it would be. I'm glad. Well, to put it this way, I'm glad that I added the windows into the room, because I feel like it really does help add a bit of connection outside the room. That this is just not in one room. That the environment kind of goes out to another space. And so that's why I kind of wanted to add as I said before, I wanted to add a very short corridor outside, just to get a bit more of a feel, a bit more of it to kind of build the world out a little bit more. And then that kind of takes us down to the design, or my thinking of the design of the hallway. And just kind of thinking about how I wanted to show. I wanted to have a bit of a different color scheme, to kind of break up the design that you saw in the room. And so I kind of had the idea to kind of have the colors based on like different functions of the ship. And so that would the green. So in this case, the green would kind of signify that this is the command deck. This would be the place that the captain's where the captain's room would be. As well as that, I wanted to make sure, again, the theme of kind of the space kind of theme was still kind of being, what's the word, amplified. As in, it has a bit. I wanted to put like vents, or like a fan or something, and an air system to show that oxygen is being pumped around, or that air is being pumped around the ship. Of course, people can breathe. But again, I didn't want to. Again, for this area, I didn't want to go into too much detail about things, because again, as it is just supposed to be a hallway. It is just supposed to be like an addition to the already existing model. So I don't want to do too much work on that. And so for now, I'm kind of happy. I'm happy to leave it where it is. I'm not planning on changing the design in any way. the only difference is that I kind of the difference between the hallway and the office is that I've kind of made the light into the ceiling lights into all one big strip. Because in the office they're like individual cubes, the separate cubes. Oops, and I just thought that it would be a much smarter idea just to connect them all together for the hallway. But anyway, that was what I did. This is what was my thinking, the kind of thinking I came across, or the kind of thinking I had while I was designing designing the office and designing the hallway, and these were the kind of things that I took into account. And this part is just saying that after looking at what this other guy did, this person, and looking at these sheets that he made, like analyzing different games and analyzing the level design and everything of different games, and I said at the beginning, I kind of realized that if I'd done that from the start, that I think I would have done a much better job in designing the rooms and designing the level, or not the level, but designing the environment. But again, as I said, another point I have to take into account is that this area is not supposed to be played. There's no. I don't have to take the player into account in these areas because no one's going to be playing it. It's just going to be, as I said, an environment piece. And since it's an environment piece, I can kind of be have a bit more freedom, a bit more freedom with my artistic designs of things. So yeah, that's kind of what I did for my the symbiotics of my office. Now I want to get to the stuff that I've made, just the additions that I've made this week. And starting off, I've done the market research, competitors, and a bit of color theory all in one. And well, starting off with competitors is that if you look here, it kind of where is it? Market research and competitors are kind of almost the same thing, as I decided to add them together. But for about, I say, 2 weeks now, I've been kind of, what's the word? Not worried, but foggy on what exactly to put for the competitors and not what exactly to write about. Because as last year when I was doing the FMP last year, and I talking to Lewis about what I should do, or what to do in that section. He said that competitors would be kind of people who would be able to kind of beat you to something, or beat you to a job, or beat you to or be more popular than you, or to basically get in your way in some form, in some respects. And I kind of mentioned how that the design, the industry professionals and the competitors were kind of very similar, and they kind of had a very similar role, if you will. And he kind of suggested I add them together, and so that's what I did last year, and he didn't seem to have many problems with it. Whereas this year, I didn't think that that wouldn't be the case this year, and probably want me to, and Rob would probably want me to do something different. And so what I decided to do was something similar to what I've done on other projects. Like in the past when I was doing market research, so I kind of took a look back on the other things that I've done as far as market research is concerned, and kind of decided to kind of go in that direction, and see how it goes. So, for this section, what I've done is that I kind of was looking, and also as well, I asked Dave if what to do and he kind of suggested that I look into games with a similar style and kind of compare the two and compare what I like about those games, or what I like about the design of those games, and kind of compare to what I'm doing. And so that's kind of the direction that I decided to go. So for this section, I kind of took a game, like as I said, games with a similar style to me, so like a sci-fi type style, and kind of compare the rooms and the environments to what I'm planning for my project. And so the first one I talked about was Mass Effect, and first I talked about what I liked about the designs in Mass Effect, or the environments in Mass Effect, or more to the point, the interiors. Ugh. Okay. And I talked about what I liked about the interiors of the game, and the and I discussed I talked about how I liked that for again, from what I remember of the game, and well, for what I can see from this image, is that they used a lot of natural light into the scene. They made the spaces huge. They made the spaces big, so of course the player had room to move around. But also they added all these windows into the scene, so that a huge amount of natural light was able to enter the room. So they didn't have to rely on artificial light. They didn't have to rely on light, rely on light bulbs to light the room, or light the environments. And I thought that was a very kind of, how we say, that was a unique feature in sci-fi. Because I always think, well, for me anyway, I kind of think about, when I think about a sci-fi environment, I kind of think about it's gonna be filled with artificial lights and artificial, as I said, artificial lights. Right? But whereas Mass Effect kind of does the opposite, and succeeds, and making a really, what's the word? A really visually pleasing environment. But I talked about but I also talked about the color scheme of the game, and talked about how, that a lot of the design, a lot of the colors used, or most of the colors used, are very kind of cold and very cool colors, like the kind of the blue, the dark blues, the light blues, the purples, and I liked how they used the other brighter colors to kind of break up that kind of cold feeling. Because again, if an environment was just kind of that kind of cold, had just had those kind of cold colors, is that it would feel very isolating. And adding those kind of warm, bright colors kind of helps warm up the environment and warm up the space that the player's using. Something I didn't, something else that I liked about this. Oh, I talked about the pros of the environment, but I also talked about the negatives of the environment as well, or the environment design, shall we say? As in, as much as it kind of it looks very, shall we say, what's the word I'm looking for? It looks very sci-fi. Obviously it looks sci-fi, but what I mean is that it looks very clean. It looks very smooth in a lot of areas, and it's very difficult to explain. What's the is abstract the word I'm looking for? It has a very abstract design, as in it has lots of curves and not everything. Obviously, not everything is straight, but it kind of. I'm not quite sure what the word I'm looking for to describe the. I know to describe the overall architecture of the space of the environment, but this is something I kind of mentioned. This is something I kind of mentioned before in another video. Is that in some parts of the environment or some parts of the architecture, I kind of feel is a bit too advanced for what I'm going for. Too advanced for what my ideas are, or my plan for this model is oh, and as because I was again when you look at the kind of I didn't show this, or I didn't really talk about this, but when you look at the ship in the game, because I played the game, when you look at the ship in the game, it has a huge amount of space, it has a huge amount of these kind of abstract designs and abstract architecture around the ship, which all does a very good job and kind of fits the theme of the game very well. But as far as what I'm looking for, I'm kind of looking for a more, shall we say, realistic kind of architecture, or kind of realistic design of a ship, or a navy ship. As in, you've seen kind of navy ships, they're kind of very small, they kind of have very cramped space, and that was the kind of, not claustrophobia, yeah, that was the kind of feeling of claustrophobia that I was kind of hoping for, or hoping to kind of get from my model, at least anyway. But something else I talked about was the captain's room in the game, and I talked about how different it was from what I'm planning, as in the game in Mass Effect. The captain's room is also his bedroom as well. Also, so it can kind of, the one area of the room you can kind of work, and the other, of course, you can sleep. But for my design, I wanted to kind of separate those two areas, and I wanted to just, so the office that I'm making is just going to be his office. There's not going to be a bed or anything like that in there. It's just going to be a place for work, and that's kind of what I was wanting to get across. And so that's where my my plan, my design, and Mass Effect's kind of design for the captain's office kind of ends, where the similarities kind of end. And but I also another game that I talked about was Mass Effect Isolation, and I'm happy I was kind of reminded about this game, because I feel like this game is a lot more a better example of what I'm going for, a better example of the kind of, shall we say, conditions that I'm looking for. As in, if you look at this picture here, you can see that the hallways of the ship, or in this case it's a station, but it doesn't matter. But in this case of the hallways are a lot thinner. They're a lot more closed in, a lot, shall we say, claustrophobic, which is again the kind of feeling I'm going for. As well as that, I feel like the color scheme is a lot more closer to what I'm going for, as in kind of a bit more darker colors, a bit more shall we say, more serious colors. There's but as I was saying with this, in this case, it's in this game, it's completely opposite to what they did in Mass Effect. As I said, they had huge windows in Mass Effect that would let in a lot of natural light into the room. Now, ideally, I'd want to do something like that for my room, but I don't know how I would do that. But so for now, I'm planning to just use like the light, artificial light, and this is what they've done here. Is that, again, most of the light that you see in the game, or most of the light that is used to light up the environment is artificial light. Mostly because there are kind of some sections of the game where you kind of see like a big window, and of course light comes in through the window. But for most of it, you're going through very, very cramped corridors. And that kind of was more in line with what I kind of was planning for my game, for my environment. Now, as I said here, this room, this game doesn't actually have like a captain's room. It doesn't have like a captain's office, but it does have a lot of office spaces in like a lot of rooms in the station, and so I just used an example from one of those rooms. And in lots of ways, as I said, I feel this game is a little bit more accurate to what I'm planning. As in, there wasn't a lot from this room that I didn't like. As in, I liked the harsh kind of metal design of the room. I liked the materials used in the room. I liked the artificial light that's being used in the room. But another thing as well, as this kind of shows me, or kind of, is that this shows me that artificial light can be used in a room and can look good. As in, like it's not so, because I was kind of a bit worried, as in I was kind of thinking that if I wasn't able, if that putting in that the room would look, I think the room would look better if I was able to put in like more natural light into the room. But kind of seeing this and seeing how how they used artificial light in these environments kind of shows me that I can do it another way as well and still have it look good, and still have it look uh, the way I'm hoping, the way I'm kind of expecting. But I would say the only problem I would have with this room, or the only kind of disagreements I would have with this kind of office space, would be the kind of the look, or the aesthetic of the computers used in the room, as in like the kind of, they're very retro, as in they're very small. They're very small, but also they have they have a very small screen, and that I kind of put that to kind of when of course it's based on like the 1980s Alien movie, and so of course all the designs and all the of the computers and everything is all kind of all from that time period, and so of course to me it looks very old, or very retro, if you will. And so that would be the kind of only thing that I would change, or the only thing I would kind of disagree with. But as I said, most of the look and the design of the space is kind of very similar to what I want, and very similar to what I'm looking for. Again, I suppose the other change I would make is I kind of add a window in here to kind of let in, well, as I said, let in more light ideally, but I haven't figured out how to do that in my model yet. So that would probably be the only changes I would make. But I did the same thing with this level as well, for this game as well. I kind of looked into the color schemes that was used. And as I said, I feel like a darker color scheme kind of works a little better for what I'm planning to do. but it still kind of has those kind of bright, warm colors to kind of break up that very cold feeling. And again, I think the brightest colors in the room, of course, coming from the light above them, coming from the light. It um, but again, other objects have a much brighter color to them. To kind, I think, obviously make them stand out more. Well, and again, I'm planning to do something similar. As in, I'm planning to add in like the wood color, kind of a more lighter, warmer tone to the room, to kind of add a bit more variety to the colors in the room. So that was my plan, and that's kind of what I took away from these looking at these two games and looking at these two spaces is and kind of comparing them to what I'm planning for my game, or not for my game, but for my environment. Now, as I said before, I I think I've done this section right. But I'll have to wait until the end of the week to find out because, as I said, Rob is going to be looking through all of our sites and kind of will say, and he will kind of say if I've done enough or not. Obviously, if not, I'll have to change it or add a little bit more. But right now, I'm feeling confident that I kind of got it. I've kind of um did what they were hoping for. But as I said, if I'm not, I'll have to change it, which I don't mind. Um, but also I think maybe the other thing that I would add, or the other thing that I would because I kind of added the color theory title, but I feel maybe. And I've kind of, as I said, I did a little bit of a color analysis of the room, but maybe it would have been better if I kind of talked about the colors I was planning to use in my game. Well, I've kind of already talked about how it was more this game's colors was more in line with what I'm planning to do. But maybe if I talked about like the different styles of color theory, that's maybe the only thing that I'm kind of questioning whether I've done it right or whether I could add more to it. But for now, I'll just keep it as it is for now, and I'll see on Friday, and if Rob liked it or not, or if I've done enough, or and again, if I don't, if I haven't, I'll just have to change it. Which I have no problem with. The next section I worked on was the legal and ethical section. Now, at first, I was very kind of nervous. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, nervous about doing this section because I was trying to think of like legal and ethical issues that have come up with like environments or modeling environments, and because I was trying to kind of link it to my project, obviously. Um, but I was but I think I kind of got a bit not. But I asked about it, and Dave kind of just told me that I think what I have to do in this section is just kind of show that I know what it means. I know what the legal and ethical, what kind of legal and ethical ramifications can come from in the gaming industry. The kind of things that you can or the kind of things you have to look out for, and the kind of things that you have to take into account. So going by that, I just kind of done two examples, one example of each of a legal issue that's come up and an ethical issue. Well, a more solution to an ethical issue. So the first one I can think about, which is quite recent, oh, is how is how Infinity Ward and Activision kind of got into trouble recently because they added a map into the new Call of Duty that they didn't get the permission for. The map is based on this hotel, this real life hotel. Oh, and they didn't get the permission from the hotel owners, and so now the hotel owners are not happy with how the obviously don't are not happy with how the hotel is being represented in the game. And so eventually, Infinity Ward just took it out the game entirely, and took the map out of rotation, so no one else could play it. So it just kind of and this is very kind of I chose this one or this story because it's very topical for what I'm doing because I'm modeling an environment, and it kind of shows that even the professionals, that you've got to have permission, or you've got to have permission to base something off of, or you have to have permission before you start modeling something, before you start modeling a map, before you start making a map app. And I thought this would fit my project very well, and so that's why I've used it here. The next section was about an ethical problem in gaming, and one of I probably the most unlooked problems in gaming, or ethical problems in gaming, is how disabled gamers can play, because I feel like a lot of people kind of forget them, and so of course it makes it more difficult for disabled players to play. Uh, um, um, and and I found out because I heard that The Last of Us 2 really goes all out when trying to make accessibility options for for disabled players. And I found out what I found out was that, as I said, Naughty Dog kind of went all out when making the accessibility features for The Last of Us 2, as in they brought in a lot of disabled gamers, and like this person here, um, Steve Saylor, and because he and they talk with to him, who's blind. He's a blind gamer, and he kind of has trouble seeing things and making out objects and environments. But again, since talking to him and talking to other people with other issues, like deaf people, and as well as people who have bad motor functions, who maybe not have the best control over their hands, and they did a really Naughty Dog did a really good job in making sure that everyone was accounted for, that everyone would be able to play this game, and they've got it so well, and they did it to such a high level, such a high standard, that basically anyone, even if you don't have any of these issues, if you close your eyes, that you'd be able to still be able to beat the game. And they've taken things into account like text to speech. So if a player the game will tell you if things are around you. The game will tell you if there are enemies around you. If you what kind of options you have, the health you have, how much ammo you have, what's around you. You could use other items you could use. They have or when the player is reading something like a note, it will read it out, every single line of dialogue. It has audio cues, so that people who maybe not have the best sight, like they can hear if something's around. They can hear that, like, again, if you're going if you have to try and get through a certain area, it will tell it, an audio cue will let you know what kind of objects are around you to get to help you get out. They have like a high contrast mode, which basically um, what it does is it kind of separates. It does a better job of for people who may not got the best eyes. It separates the colors out and makes it very clear and distinct which characters are on, or what your player character and their allies and what are enemies, because they color them in bright colors so that they can see better. But it also does a better job of kind of distinguishing environment pieces, is so that you can do a better job of moving around the environment, moving around the space. And he says that the Last of Us 2, with these features, that The Last of Us 2 is the most accessible game that any disabled gamer could play. And I commend and in this point I'm just kind of commending Naughty Dog for going all out and kind of going to the effort to add all these features because as I know a lot of disabled people who unfortunately have not got access or don't have the ability to play these kind of games, and so it's just nice to know that there are companies out there who are taking other people into account, and making sure that everyone can play games together. And hopefully this means that since this one was a big success, I was a very, I would say it was a huge step forward for like accessibility features in gaming. And I hope that they try and add these kind of features to other games as well. So of course more people can play other games. So those were the two sections that I looked at for the legal and ethical section of my site. Right. Now, as I said, I'll have to wait until Friday to see if this is enough, or if Rob might want me to go into a bit more detail, or maybe find other stories for each of these topics. But for now, I'll keep it. For now, I'll just keep it like this, because like again, sometimes I feel like I can kind of go overboard with a certain section. Like I felt like that last year when I was doing like the work culture section of my site, and I talked about 3 different countries and I wrote about each country. Yeah, and afterwards, I mean, I would look back on it. I at the time I really, and I think I kind of got a bit too into it, a bit too excited, if you will, as in like when I was doing it was fun, and I didn't really realize what I was doing. But I didn't really realize how much time it took. But afterwards I looked at it and I kind of thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I think I took too much time doing that, or maybe I didn't need to go into so much detail about this certain thing or this subject. And so for this project, I want to try and, shall we say, cut back and try and not go overboard into certain subjects. But as I said, if on Friday Rob wants me to, this is fine. If Rob wants me to go into more detail about certain things, then I will. But for now, I'll just keep it as it is. So the legal and the market research, competitors, is a bit of color theory, as well as the legal and ethical side of the gaming industry, are the 2 sections that I completed this week. as far as the written work is concerned, and as far as the written work is concerned, I think that again, as I said, for now, I think I've kind of completed most of the topics that I had to research into. Now, as for the last two topics, I don't think really apply to me. The last two topics are the narrative and sound. Now, that one, again, this is not going to be a game, so it's not going to be a fully fledged game, so I'm not. Sorry, going to be adding a story to it. Two, again, I'm not going to be adding any sound to the model or to the environment. So there's no need to kind of go into sound either. So I think so for those two sections, I think I'll just leave those two sections, and because I don't feel like they're relevant to my project. But for I think everything else, now that I completed those two sections, I think I've kind of completed everything, all the research work I needed to do. But as I keep saying, I'll wait until Friday and see if there's anything else I need to look into, or maybe go into a bit more detail into. But now I've talked about the written work that I've done. Now to get onto the practical work that I've been doing. So since I did, oh wait, hang on, go back. So since I did all the practical or the research work, I've been just trying to complete as much practical work as I can, and for this week, I've been dedicating all my time to practical work, like so much so that I've kind of finished the first section, or the front section of the model. Because the last time I was talking about it, I think I left off here, where I was making like the bezels for the So this is going to be like the wooden board, and I'm just making the bezels for the board. Then going over how I made those. This is where I kind of left off. Whether this is me making the TV screen or the blue screen, and then the kind of the backboards of the room, and then the wires, the other cabinets, and I even made it a coffee machine for the captain, so he didn't have to get up and go somewhere else to kind of add more, as well as to add more items into the room to populate the room a bit more. Then I was going to make like those, I don't know what they really called, but like those big kind of folders is where they have like the big kind of case around the folder, and then of course they have files inside the case. I was gonna make one of those, but then I kind of looked at what I was the kind of, shall we say, the case that I had left, and I thought, oh, that would be that looks like a file organizer. And so instead, what I did, I just added a bunch of cubes into that rectangles into that section that will be as books. And then I made some more books to add to the not the desk, but the cabinet behind the desk. And I added the wall decorations, to the wall. I made the desk. And I'm very happy with how the desk looks, as it looks very accurate to how it was supposed to in the sketch. Then I just me making the lights. These are the lights that are going to be in the room, and then this is me making the chair. Now, I didn't really have to go into this much detail to make the chair, because the most of the chair is going to be behind the desk and won't be seen. But I just thought that it would still be good I still wanted to make the chair anyway, so that I kind of have, how I say, a better idea of how it would look. Because And so I still did that anyway. And so this was what the results. And if I go into the model here, let's get into this. Let's go over here. So as you can see, this is the coffee machine. In these are the filing, the file organizers, I guess. That's where all the books. This is where the books are. This is gonna be the. Hang on, move that out of the way. This is gonna be the first aid kit. And if you go here, where? There we go. That's it. So as you can see, I'm very happy that I was managed to get it as accurate to the sketch as possible. So this I'm gonna go back. This cube is gonna be the first aid kit. That's gonna be the cabinet. This is gonna be the where the logo is gonna be for the ship. The insignia. This is gonna be where the captain's name is gonna be. But also while I was doing all this, I kind of realized as well that with this I wouldn't say new design, but with these kind of the new things that I'm doing, or these models that I'm making, that I'm gonna have to make new textures as well. That I'm gonna have to make my own textures as well. So I was thinking what I was gonna do. So like it's very simple textures just to go over these books. As well as that, I need to make a new, or not a new logo, but I need to make a new, make a new name for the logo, and then put it, and then I'm going to put it into Photoshop up and UV map all the textures onto the objects. Then for these shape, these are gonna be like the like certificates, so pictures. There's gonna be on the captain's the behind the captain, and so that's what these squares are gonna be. And then this is gonna, as I said, this is gonna be the blue screen. This is where the computer screen is gonna be. And for that, I'm not, cause I'm thinking about putting like a UV mapping it and putting a picture there, and cause I did something very similar, but I also want to have a bit of light coming from it, to kind of show that it is like a computer screen. And so what I'm thinking about doing is what I did for my creative CV, is that if you look at that model there, that I did a computer, and I kind of put a computer screen, and I kind of put a normal picture, a normal image there, but what I onto the screen. But what I did as well, and I can't remember how I did it right now, but what I did was I found a way to put some light on the screen, so that it emitted some light, so of course it looked like a computer screen. For this section, I'm planning on adding a few wires going through here. As I said, these are going to be like the wire boxes. So the wires will go down. So they're not there, but through this, it will go along. The wires will go along here and go up here, kind of showing that there's power going through this section. And then as you can see here, this is the chair. This is the captain's chair. Kind of difficult to try and, there we go, there's the captain's chair. And I said I didn't really want to get, because when I was initially kind of looking into like the mood board and everything, and I was looking into like the design of like different chairs, like sci-fi chairs or captain's chairs, and they all looked very, very complicated, and they all looked very shall we say, not overdone, but they all looked very complex, and I was a bit worried, because I thought, that I'm gonna have to do something that I was a bit worried because I was thinking that every object in this room is going to be like that. It's going to be more. It's going to be very complex and difficult to make. Like, but in reality, no, it's not so much because again, as I said before, a lot of the chair, you won't see a lot of the chair from where the camera is. As you can see, you just see the back bit and then the board. Then really, that's all I needed to do. But I just thought it would be a better. I just thought I like the idea of seeing the chair in full. So of course, as you can see, there's the chair, the captain's chair, and of course this is the table. Now the table turned out a lot better than I was. Hang on, if I get a better click on this. There you go. That's better. The table turned out a lot better, I have to admit, than I was expecting. Because as in this initial this sketch for the room, I did, or in the other sketch I did for the room, I did this kind of very, no, not complicated, but this very, it's a very different table from the one I have now. Oh, and again, I was all very kind of worried about it because I thought it was going to be very difficult. Again, the same thing here. I thought making this one was going to be difficult, which I kind of questioned if I thought it was going to be difficult, then why did I choose to make it or choose to put it in? But anyway, moving on. The point is that I'm happy that I changed, that I made this table instead of this one. And because again, one is a lot simpler, a lot easier to make, but it still I think it still looks cool. It still gives me that kind of sci-fi theme that I wanted. Again, of course, I've got the circle. That's where the other logo is gonna go. Although I think I'm gonna make it a bit smaller because I think it looks a bit big right now. But as well, another point, kind of more difficult to see. Here you go. Here, there we go. Another point that I hadn't thought about, or that I hadn't realized up until this point, was that I don't need to kind of go into so much detail about the computer in the room, because from where the camera is, you won't really see the computer. You won't, because I was expecting to kind of have to make like a keyboard and all sorts of other things as well. But as I said, from where the camera is, you don't really see it. So again, I don't really feel like there'd be any point. And again, from the other side of the room, you don't see it from the other side of the room either. You don't see where the computer is. So I feel like it'll be a better idea just to move on to the rest of the room. But again, from this angle, you only see the back of the screen, and I think that's enough to give the sense that yes, this is a computer, this is a workspace. And so as far as for this side of the room, I feel like it's finished. I feel like, because again, this looks almost it's kind of almost very, it looks extremely accurate to my sketches, and I'm very happy with that. Because that was something else, again, I mentioned before that I was worried about, was again, Thomas mentioned how there was a lot of objects in the room, and he was kind of saying that was I sure that I could make it all. And again, even I was a bit kind of concerned, because I thought, again, I kind of agreed with him, and I thought, well, maybe I should kind of cut back on the kind of a lot of the objects that I plan to make, but in a way, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to cut down, because I didn't really feel like this was too much for me. I felt like this was very. I could do this. Yes, it will be challenging, but I feel like I could do it, and I'm very happy to see that I am doing it. I'm doing it so far, and I'm doing a good job so far. So the front half of the room is finished. So now what I've done is I've moved on to the back half of the room. Now. As I said, this part of the room is hopefully not gonna take as much time, but this part of the room has no, I wouldn't say it's been a problem, but it's unforeseen problems, as in like I've mentioned before in my practical work how I had. Hang on, if I go, let's kind of go here. I've mentioned that when I was making this hole for the window, I needed to remove one of the faces from the original tube that I used for the setup, the structure of the room, and I had to remove the face is in order to get that kind to get the empty in order to see what was on the other side, and I kind of had to do the same thing with this wall here. So what I did, so again, I've started making the door for the room, for the office, obviously. It's not finished yet, as you can see. I still have some other things to do, other bits and pieces to add, but the point was I was trying to make this window, these holes into the door, and it worked. It got through the door and it got through the other side as well, but it just with the face from the original room, it didn't go all the way through, so I needed to delete that. And so what I did, I had to make some new faces, or some new shapes to fill up that space. And so that's what I've done here. These are all new shapes that I've had to make. Now we'll see what kind of effect this has with texturing. Again, the only other problem I have again here, if you look here and here, these were like spaces that were left blank because when I deleted the wall, it deleted everything around this shape. And I wanted these holes to remain empty for now, so you could see right through. And so I couldn't just have like the root. I couldn't just have it go straight through. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, I can, because this is no longer. Oh, I could, and because that's what I put these things here for, because these were just like holes that needed to be filled. But again, the problem with doing that is that it leaves this kind of line going straight through the wall, and I didn't really want that. I mean, I could add it to the design of the room and just keep it. But now that I think about it, what I could do instead is that I could get rid of this wall and just stretch this wall out, going all the way past us, and make it and filling up this space. And then what I could do, I could add the Boolean effect back, and add the Boolean effect back, but this time it would go straight through this wall this shape as well. But the problem is I've kind of gotten rid of those shapes now. I should have kept them around, because otherwise I have to redo it. But anyway, we'll see what I do with that. But as well as that, I had to replace this wall as well. Because no, I didn't want to do that. Because in deleting the wall for the room, I deleted it for the hallway as well. And so I had to add another wall there to kind of replace that bit. But yeah, that's kind of what I've started so far. But the reason I've made the door first was that I wanted to have, so that I had a better idea of how much space I had. Because I didn't want to start like the sofa and start like the little cabinet and then find out that it's like blocking the door or something. So I wanted to have the door there first, so I have a clear understanding of where the door is, and so I know how better I can use this space here. So that's what I'm doing. That's my plan at the moment. Right, so the so it doesn't look, these lines don't look so bad. It's not like it ruins the room or anything. But yeah, that would have been, I think that would have been a better idea if I had thought ahead. That's probably what I would have done. Yeah, oh well. Oh, or I could make the door again, but no. But I'll just leave that for now. Um, but yeah, that's what I've got so far. That's what I'm making. I'm making the other side of the room now. That's where of course that's where the door is gonna be. I have to make the windows, and then the sofa and the cabinet, and then the other small details as well. And then of course I'll be done with this side of the room, and then I can oh I don't think it would be because the I'm kind of wondering, would it be, once I've done this section of the room, the back section, would it be a smart idea to start filling out the hallway? Or would it be just a better idea to just start texturing? Well, there's not really that much here in this area. So I think once I've done this section, I'll quickly make this section, the hallway section, and then all of it will be done and finished, and then the only thing left to do then would be texturing. Now, the texturing, first for the texturing, if I go back here, to this place over here, it's not what I wanted, there we go. As for the texturing, I have to, the big job now is I have to try and, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making textures, or textures for this room, the individual textures I will need. Specially made textures I will need. So like the military certificates that will go here, and like planets, and other planets, as well as as covers for these books. That will be something I have to do as well, and I also want to make, oh god, no, go back. I don't want to do that. I want to go here. I also want to make a small screen here, just so you have a little, it kind of shows what kind of coffee it can make. Again, I have to make a texture for this screen, for the first aid box. Then I'll have to make a new name for the logo. Then make a screen, a picture for this screen here, for the blue screen, and then I'll have to make text for the captain's name. So I think those will be the next big jobs I have to do. So those were the next big jobs I have to do. Once I've finished this section over here, then I'll get on to making textures. Or maybe what I could do is I could do the modeling at home, and then make the textures at college. That would be an idea. That sounds like a good idea. And so that's what I've done so far. I've completed. Oh no, go back. I want to go. I've completed the first section of the room. The modeling section of the room is completed. The next section I'm going to work on is going to be the back section. And then it'll be the hallway, and then all the modeling will be out the way, by then it will be just adding textures to it, obviously adding textures to everything, and then I think maybe the lighting will probably be the last thing I do. because I want all the textures, I want all the models to be finished first, and then I could add all the lighting to the room. But so yeah, so that's what I've done so far. I feel like I'm making good progress. I'm happy with the progress I'm making. I feel very lucky that I've managed to get most of my research work out the way to this point. So now with this holiday coming up, I can just focus on modeling. That's my plan anyway. I want to just focus on modeling. But again, I say again, like another good use of this time would be to start making the textures I need as well. And I think that would be fun making the different textures. Um, so yes, I think that's my plan so far. I'm very happy with the progress I've made. I'm very happy that I've managed to make the office to so accurate to what I planned. And again, like if I go back up here, these are the lights for the room. And again, these again, kind of hard to see. And these section are gonna this section of these tubes are gonna be lights as well. Gonna be lights. Because again, I don't know how much light I'm gonna need in the scene. I'll go back. Because I don't know how much light I'm gonna need in the scene in order for it to show up well. And so for now, I'm just adding as much light as I can. But when I get to that section, the lighting section. As I said, I think the lighting section will probably be the last thing I do. But something else is that I don't I want to keep in mind is that probably for a lot of this section or a lot of the models in this section are probably gonna just use like very basic colors. It's because again, not everything needs super high depth textures in order to show up or in order to look good. And again, that's what I learnt last year with my other project. With my not last year, it was my last project, the teamwork project, where I was working with a team to make a game, and I kind of got a bit hung up on trying to get the best textures for the necklace model that I was making, and I usually kind of told me and calmed me down. Well, not calmed me down, but kind of convinced me that there are other ways of doing things. And that not everything has to look brilliant. And so I think obviously I'm gonna use like big textures for the most of the room, for the majority of the room. But for like the small things, I think I'm just gonna use like a very basic color textures. Cause I feel like those would just do. But anyway, not gonna start the texturing process until all the modeling process is finished. But I still think it would be a good idea to start making the necessary textures I need. And it'd probably be a good idea to start making a list of the textures I'm gonna need. So yeah, that's it. That's my update. That's the update I have so far on my project. Hopefully I want to use this next 2 weeks to try and boost the progress of my model even more, and I want to make some more progress. Yes, but we'll see. I don't want to set my goals too high, I guess. Yes. Because as I said, I may have to go back to my written work and change a few things. But even if I do have to go change a few things, I don't really think it's gonna be that much. Um. So I feel right now I think focusing on my model would be the best thing to do right now, and so that's the plan that I've got right now, and I'm very happy with the progress that I've made. And I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. The model was the main thing I wanted. The progress I made with the model was the main thing I wanted to talk about. And I feel like I've talked about everything. So thank you, and bye.